we slice it when we put it in, after it's in YouTube. But then right now, anything you say will be uploaded to YouTube. So let's quit talking about Scott Bedley and what a... sorry, hold on. Right, here we go. All right, ready? Are you ready, everybody?
Yes.
All right. John Samuelson, please have no technical difficulties tonight and edit here. Hello, and welcome to Techlandia. How are you doing? It's Sunday night. We're just hanging out. I'm wearing my Astros shirt because I'm a big Astros fan, but they were playing the White Sox today, so I don't know why I'm wearing an Astros shirt. That's a very cheap move by me. I'm a White Sox fan. John Samuelson, down in Austin, Texas. Over in Portland, Oregon, we have the lovely and talented
Allison Anderson, also known as Ted Rosisi.
Also known as Ted No Mimi after last night's podcast. He was Ted No Mimi. We know Cece Ted Rosisi. So over in La Crosse, Wisconsin, we have the dashing Blue Steel, otherwise known as...
Well, thank you very much, John. My name is Kurt Reese, and I'm happy to actually be here tonight, and I promise I'll be here all night. I won't show up for the first 2 minutes and then just leave and cash my paycheck.
Yeah, she was out at the currency exchange cashing those paychecks. Ooh. And over in California, we have the lovely and talented tonight. We're very happy to have Genein Letford, everyone. Let's give her a hand. Genein, why don't you tell us your Twitter handle and where you are at in school and what you do?
Awesome. My Twitter handle is Genein, or at Genein Letford, and I am at New Academy Canoga Park in Southern California. It's about 30 minutes north of Los Angeles. And I started there about 9 years ago teaching third grade, so I have a general education background, and then I switched over into the full music program teaching K through 5, and now it's TK, Transitional Kinder, through the fifth grade, and I see all the students in 1 week, and there's lots of fun going on there.
Wow, the transitional kindergarten. That sounds like a fun gig with the music.
Yes.
Here, oh my goodness. You deserve a medal for that. Well, that's funny. Yeah, I bet it is. Boy, that would scare me. There's not many teaching assignments that would scare me, but teaching music to pre-kindergarten, that would be a little bit scary to me. I have to admit, I might have little butterflies in the stomach on that one. That's funny. Well, we're happy to have you here. You would come highly, highly referred by the handsome and dashing Scott Bedley, who is just a big fan of yours, and said to me, let's see, wait, there's a text coming in right now from me. He says, ask Genein what award she was just recently up for. Okay, so there we go. Were you recently up for an award, Genein?
Well, tomorrow I'm actually being awarded the Innovation in Education Award by the San Fernando Valley Economic Alliance Group, and that was actually a surprise. I didn't apply for that one. They just found me, but it's a great honor to represent my school in the music program for that. And I think he could be referring to the People Teacher of the Year Award, which is actually how I came in contact with Scott and Twitter. The reason why I even went on Twitter to begin with in November, I think. So I haven't been on Twitter for that long, but just the amazingness of just connecting with teachers all over the nation and the world, and finding Scott and his brother and Joanne and other people like that has just made my career just skyrocket.
That is awesome. So People magazine, huh?
Yes.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And then you're like, I wasn't even up for this award, but I'm going to get one tomorrow. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. That's really cool. So yeah. Tell us about the one for tomorrow then. Do you know?
I'm not sure. We're in the San Fernando Valley. So if you've ever seen movies and you're like, oh, she's from the valley. Oh, stop being such a valley girl. That's where I am.
You're giving valley girls a good name right now.
Like whatever. So that whole accent or what have you. But it's the San Fernando Valley, and they are just honoring educators and a few schools that are just doing some innovative things within their classroom and their school, or just just doing some nationally recognized things. So they contacted me. So it's just fun. It's fun.
Totally
That's
fun.
cool. That is totally cool. I like that. So, Kurt, of course, playing the Valley Girl, the theme from Valley Girl movie from starring Nick Cage. Nicolas Cage was in Valley Girl, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Who was the female lead in Valley Girl? I can't remember.
That would be Deborah Foreman, because she is from the '80s, and I loved her. And I don't know what she does now, but in the '80s, I thought she was dreamy. So Nicolas Cage too. No, not really. But anyway, that is funny.
Moonstruck. That was a good film. Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas. Nick has done some. He's done his share of movies. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Face Off. That was
Face Off. Yeah.
horrible. No, but your recent award, Genein. So it's from the I think you said the Economic Society, whatever. Like that's pretty cool. Is it kind of like a Chamber of Commerce type organization?
I believe so. I guess I should have did more research. The Valley Economic Alliance. So that's all I have.
Well, it sounds like a good thing.
I'll find out more tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we talked to Krista Moroder last night, and the work that she does.
You talked to Chris.
Yes, I did a full podcast all by myself with Krista Moroder, and the work that she does is kind of on the edge of the business world and education. It sounds like lots of great things are happening there, and I think it's pretty cool too that People decided to feature a Teacher of the Year, rather than the world's most sexiest or least sexiest, some of the things that they do. So I'm actually glad that they have done something with some substance. Certainly, teachers and you is a fantastic thing to feature.
Awesome. And they just partnered with Target and the Major League Baseball, so they're actually doing something this summer as well, where you before May 6th, you could have nominated your favorite teacher, and if they were chosen, they get to fly out to Minnesota to be a part of this huge baseball Target People magazine. So they are stepping up and starting to recognize.
I would like to say thank you to Target as well. They don't sponsor anything that I do, but just about a month ago, I got a phone call from one of the PR people from our local Target in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and they said, we have this reading program. All you have to do, if you just hang up this poster, we'll give you $500 in books. And it was that simple. We hung up a poster, and they just sent us a link to this particular website, and we ordered $500 worth of books, and within a week, they were there. It was just really nice. No strings attached. So thank you, Target.
Awesome. Yeah. They also have really good field trip grants at the beginning of the year, or I think you probably have to start applying soon. Kurt or Genein, anybody that, and it seems like it's only for public schools, which so I don't know if that counts for charters or not. But for Kurt, they give like $1,000 grants just to cover field trips, and tons of them.
Nice. All right, here's another great Target idea, and I'll give credit to one of the first teachers I ever subbed for when I first got started my career, Mrs. Powell. She would always contact Target like early in whatever holiday season it was, because like if it was Christmas coming up, they had all these snowflakes hanging, or Halloween decorations, just like these really cool cardboard decorations hanging from the ceiling. And she would contact them ahead of time and say, hey, would you save those for me? And then she would use those the next season to decorate her classroom, and it really looked fantastic.
Good thinking.
That's a good idea, because I'm in charge of all the performances and the school-wide festivals and everything. So I'm writing that down. But that's actually the second point that I submitted in the doc, just about grants, and huge shout out to Target as well. Just being an arts person and just knowing the funding's not always there, Target has really supported my program and just the program of the arts around the nation. So go Target. Woohoo!
All right, John, when we go to the show, let's contact Target. I think they're our next sponsor.
Well, let's see.
I was just there yesterday.
I was just there. I just stepped out of Target like 2 or 3 hours ago. I was there. I go there every day, it seems like. I like how what I like about Target is I like how they you can, if you have the credit card, you can actually pick the school and donate the percentage to your school. I mean, I always thought that was pretty cool. That's a cool thing, and I don't use my Target card that much, but when I do, I think it's nice to get, just know that you're, getting something.
It is a nice thing. Yeah,
anyway, that concludes our commercial for Target.
Reminds me of the skit from Saturday Night Live.
Kurt, they should have had
Justin Timberlake.
Which one?
The Target lady.
The one where Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm gonna watch that when we're done.
Well, any excuse for us to watch Justin Timberlake is fine. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to remind Alice and I. In fact, when I go up to Portland, Alice and I will have a little Justin Timberlake film festival probably, and then everybody go, "What are those guys doing?" We're just watching JT movies or videos or whatever. All right. Genein, I would like to have you talk about your arts integration and your whole school read-alouds and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your classroom to win all these terrific awards. And start out however you want to start out your story.
Well, I guess it would start out from when I was in the third grade classroom. And just growing up, my mom put my twin and I, there was 4 of us, just in music, and we did Charlotte's Web at a young age. My twin was Wilbur. I was sheep number 4, but I was still in the play. But just seeing the impact that the arts had on our lives, and now my mom has 4 college graduate kids, and 3 of them are in sciences, and me and ed. And just knowing how important an arts foundation is, I knew in my third grade class that I had to give that to my kids. So I taught them, recorder. They knew about the orchestra, painting, and we even acted out the books, and just making sure that I brought that in when I was able to. So when I switched to doing the full-time music program, I had a third grade background, so I knew all their standards. I knew that you should be doing fractions right out here. Here's decimals. Here's the Native American Indian unit. So I knew since I knew what was going on in their classroom, I just connected it to the music curriculum, and just basically making the point that everything is connected, and your brain will hold onto it more if I facilitate those connections that are basically already there. So I just started writing down my ideas and just sharing lessons. So that's actually how I guess some of the awards came, and just my out-of-the-box type of thinking. But basically some lessons are just, like the orchestra. You have your string section, your woodwinds, your percussion, and your brass. My kids would, hear it and be able to know the difference between a flute and a trumpet, but also look at how the orchestra is laid out. You can totally do fractions, ratios, similes. My kids, when my fourth graders had to choose their instrument, because they do recorder 2nd and 3rd grade, and then they do band 4th and 5th. They get to choose between a trumpet, clarinet, flute, saxophone, or stay on the recorder. But in their small paragraph of why they wanted to pick that instrument, they had to include a simile. So the trumpet is like da 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 da, and I had some pretty cool submissions. So I'm always trying to add in those connections where I can. And it's just good to see that the kids are just really blossoming, not only musically, but you can see that other areas are blossoming as well.
So do all your 4th and 5th graders play in the band?
Yes.
And how many students in your school?
We're about 550 now, with each 4th and 5th grade class has about 25 each.
Wow. So how many kids in the band?
Well, so I see one group for about 45 minutes a week. So okay. So once they come to me, I have like 10 trumpets, 10 flutes, 2 saxophones, a few drummers. But then I also have an honor band, and these are the kids that they know music is for them. So they have to meet me during Thursday lunch, and they play the more difficult pieces, and then we go out into the community and play as well. Because I also want to make sure that they know that music or the arts is not just for them, but it's a gift that they can use to spread around the community. And even if it's playing, your instrument for your mom, for Mother's Day, which a child actually did. She's like, yeah, I played my recorder for my mom for Mother's Day that just passed. And that was just amazing to hear that I can't go out to the store and buy her something, but this is a gift that I can give her. And that's really what I want. And that's why I think educators want everyone to know that education isn't just for you, it's for you to do something with and be a blessing out into your community and into society as a whole.
Can I say how impressed I am that you bring those kids out into the community, because at the school that I was at last year, we had the most incredible music teacher that she was more vocal based, so she had a choir, and she would bring those kids everywhere, and just the logistics of getting the permission from the parents, getting everybody on board, just getting them there, and oh my gosh, she never stopped working, and it was definitely her passion, but it was awesome. You kind of just see the kids on, like, oh, look at, they're singing at the Christmas lights at the zoo, isn't that great? But then to see all the work that goes in,
right.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's what I love about my school district. I'm in the school district of Onalaska in Wisconsin, and our high school marching band is marching everywhere they can. I mean, they've done the Rose Bowl parade, the Outback Bowl. Like my fifth grade choir, they'll go and do the Rotary Lights, and we're singing at the mall, and it's I mean, we'll go everywhere from like the Rose Bowl parade to just the local St. Patrick's Day parade too, and it's really cool. And I love what you said, Genein, that music is a blessing and it must be shared, because I think that's absolutely true. I'm very thankful that my own two kids, I've got a sixth grader and a second grader. My son plays clarinet in his sixth grade band, but then he's also, he's a very good guitar player as well.
Awesome.
But then my daughter, who's in second, she goes to a school for technology and arts, and she plays the viola, and she absolutely loves it. So I'm thankful that they have an interest in it.
Beautiful.
And what do you play, Genein?
I started in the fourth grade on the trumpet, and then just picked up the flute. But I don't play professionally. I just teach now. But I'm actually not. It's talk about just bringing in the experts. My brother plays the clarinet. He's a semi-professional clarinet and piano player. So I bring him in to help me with the reeds. My twin played the bassoon growing up, and my little sister played the flute growing up. So it's like within my own family, we kind of have the area covered. So that's good to hear. Your son is doing the clarinet.
Yeah, he likes it. Uh-oh. What's going on?
I saw Kurt. Did you see that on how to play? That kind of fits in with our thing. I think that maybe we should learn from that guy on YouTube. The Weezer riff was pretty cool, I thought. I don't know. Anyway, that was just something we shared.
I'll check it out.
Okay, that was cool because I only share I was like, oh god, this guy, get a job, John, is what he says. He's like, get a job, do this. So, all right, so Genein, you went into a little bit about it, and we like to say that Kurt and I like to stalk the people that we have on the show a little bit. So we were cyber stalking a little bit there, and so I know this wasn't on the document, but I was just reading about your mom. Do you want to say anything more about your mom as just like an influence on you? Because that was one of the things, and I love her name because that's my daughter's name also, Gwen. So I have a Gwen as well. But I was just reading a little bit about how your mom was an influence on you, and is there anything other than influence you with the arts that she's done for you?
A lot, and I don't know if you know, but I was featured in the book American Teacher Heroes in the Classroom, and it was a great chance to just give praise to her. We raised in a single parent home. We were on free and reduced lunch, and basically, there are people in my community who just quote unquote did not make it. And we owe it all to our mom for that. She did drop out of college, but then she basically said, how can I tell my kids to go to college if I didn't finish? So she forced herself back in with two young twin girls, my sister Genein and I. And she graduated from UC Irvine with a psychology degree, and always brought home, science sets. And during the summer, even though we were on a very limited income, she really saved pennies and made sure we traveled around the nation. I remember sitting at the feet of Lincoln in the Washington Memorial. I remember looking up at the ceiling of the White House, in a lake somewhere in Canada. We went down to Guadalajara, Mexico, and riding on the train. And mind you, we're free and reduced lunch. There's four of us, but she knew that was important, that we just didn't read about these places within a book, that she worked her hardest to actually get us there. And because of her, now I studied abroad in Spain, I went to Costa Rica, and I was actually just awarded the Hilton Teacher Trek Grant from the Hilton hotels. They're giving me $8,000 to go to Japan and South Korea to study those cultures and create a curriculum to bring it back to my school. And trust me, I don't think any of me traveling around the world would have manifested itself had it not been for my mom, who made sure that we did not just learn from a book, but we learned through experiences as well. And that's why I work so hard to write these grants, and that's why I give Target all the kudos, because I've received about maybe 3 or 4 Target field trip grants, and I'm just like, learning cannot just stay within these classroom walls. We have to get out there, and you guys have to see it. So, thanks, Mom. Shout out to my mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is really good.
I just tracked down the blog post that you had written about grants, fellowships, and awards. So thank you for writing that, and I just tweeted it out. So and you can find it if you just find Genein on Twitter. And Genein spells her name differently than my aunt Genein, but you can find her on Twitter. Genein is Genein, Letford, Letford. So if you find her on Twitter, Genein Letford, and then go to her blog, lots of great information there.
That's cool, Genein. I was wondering, and I want to see this really bad because it just kind of went with the whole Mother's Day theme and whatever that was brought up. But I heard that Kevin Durant, when he won the MVP award for the NBA, he made just like this. I heard it was one of the best speeches, like bar none, sports. Anything, just talking, and you could say, I just saw the footage of his mom out there crying or whatever. But and I know that KD cried also. But I had met him over at UT, and he's a nice guy, and I really want to see the speech because I heard it was bar none one of the best speeches, like sports moments ever, and just kind of talking about how, I mean, I think he's from Baltimore, and just how hard it was, and his mom just doing whatever she could to make sure that he succeeded, which is great. And I have 4 kids too, so now it makes me feel like a lazy guy for not getting them out more. But I try to get them out more. Their dad needs to have a job before he can get them out a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. Genein, do you want to talk a little bit more about the grants that Kurt just tweeted out? Was there anything else? So you wrote the Hilton grant. Now this sounds fascinating. So tell us a little bit about this grant that you won to go to Japan. This sounds awesome.
Yes. So I would probably categorize that as almost a grant / fellowship. But this is actually their 2nd year running this. Last year was their 1st year, and you proposed a place to go, and then the community voted. But this year they took out the voting aspect, which I'm actually happy they did that, because it ends up being who knows more folks. But a huge panel actually just read it, and in the blog I just give you all my tips. Folks say, "Oh, Genein, why are you sharing all of your secrets and all of these links? Because doesn't that increase the pool?" And I'm just on the train that a lot of educators are today. It's like no more closed doors of our classroom. Let's just share our best stuff, because I believe it's the lighting of a fire, and just I don't lose any more of my fire by helping you do what you have to do in respect to that. But for this one, I make sure to start with a story, because probably like a lot of the applications say, my name is Genein Letford and I teach. It's like if you read 100 applications that start that way, you don't stand out. So everyone has a different story. Just start with a story that just grabs them. And the grant that I wrote was actually going to the bridging to the ed camps, and you guys talk about ed camps, and I actually Scott Bentley was the one who kind of forced me to go to an ed camp. And Ed Camp LA was my first one, where I saw Bill Select and David, and they were talking about photo walks and blogging, and there's a lot of other folks with student blogging as well. So I was talking about that with my students, and and then this idea just came of okay, well, I'm going to write this essay about going to Japan, looking at the history of Japan, but looking at it through the arts, and how can I take pictures that tell stories, and do the haikus, and do the sijos, which is a Korean version of a haiku, but also look at the relationship, because when you think about it, America bombed Japan during World War II, and Japan had a huge oppression over South Korea in, I believe, the 40s or 50s before South Korea split up. And just the relationships between those, could I learn more about the sentiment through the arts? You know, what is the visual art saying? What did the music say? The poetry. So that was my personal thing. But as far as teaching the kids, how can we learn more about history or the cultures just by looking at this one painting, or by singing this one Korean folk song? You know, where is that pain coming from, or what did they go through? And that's basically the aspect that I took. So while I'm there, you can actually follow me on my blogs. You can say, oh, where's Genein now, or what's going on now, and go to my website and check out what I'm doing. I'm traveling July 7th through July 22nd. So you can tweet me if you want to see what's going on. And I'm actually having my students just, you know, comment or ask me questions. So, you know, if you want to tell that to your students as well, go for it. Or if you want to say, you know, oh, you're in Hiroshima now, you know, how is they have like a peace park or something like that of the actual location where the atomic bomb was dropped, you know, and just to be there where so many people lost their lives. I'm really looking forward to just diving in.
That's really cool. Have you been to Japan before?
No, I've never been to Asia, so that's on my list. Only Costa Rica and Mexico and Europe.
All right. Sounds like a great trip. So, yeah, if you want to travel as a teacher too, I mean, you can learn a lot, but you're going to have fun. Seriously, track down Genein's blog and her blog post about just grants and fellowships and all those things. I mean, literally dozens, if not quite to the 100 range. Plenty of information on there so you can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And for free. That's the main thing. For free.
That's right. That's awesome. I think that's really great what you said too about. I mean, I thought that's. I'll definitely follow along on that one. And you know, we do put all the links for the show. We'll put it on a little list, Lee, so that everybody can link back to those and link to your website and your blog. I think that's really awesome, because I think that the thing that got me onto Twitter the most is there's just, and I think Scott would agree with us too, is like the sharing is important. You said let's not going to steal any of your fire or whatever, right? If you got some other people to take some of your ideas, you could. That's how forest fires get started, and that's how change happens. You know, if there are some people that are sitting there, you can get outside your classroom or your school walls, and you can look on Twitter and see what people are sharing, and then you're like, wow, I could really try that in my classroom. And I think that's the power of the sharing. So I think that's great. That I'm glad you listened to Scott. Not too many people listen to Scott Bedley. You know, he's just he's kind of a doofus. I hate to say it. Ragamuffin. Tim Bedley they listen to. He's listening. You know what? Real quick, before we go to the third thing that you like to talk about, then why don't we go to your Twitter followers, since it kind of ties in then, and go ahead and list out your 3 Twitter followers then.
Well, I have 2, because the other one was just at Bedley Brothers, but I think the people who listen to you already know about them. But about the whole school read aloud is connected to my first one, my dynamic librarian, Kelly Spector. I don't know if you have someone at your school where when you team up, you guys are just like on fire, just like ideas and just the synergy that happens is amazing. So I call her my edu partner, because she's my edu partner in crime, and she is amazing with Skyping with award-winning authors. We brought Catherine Applegate to our school. She's the 2013 Newbery Award-winning author with the one and only Ivan, which is right here. Kelly brought her to our school, and my thing was, okay, I just don't want Catherine to come here and, you know, do a presentation and answer a few questions and then go. Because you know me, kind of like the Hilton application, I just want to be set apart. Like, go big or go home. So what I had the students do was, you know, each teacher was reading this book, but I get all the students filtered through me. So what we did was I had them analyze, or not analyze, but really just jump in the book through the art, you know. And there's a few YouTube videos on there. So and the kids got to choose, the classes got to choose which art. So one class chose to do screenwriting, and then they acted out, just a scene. But they, kind of had to make up what the characters would say, because of course they didn't memorize the book. Another class for music, they took an established melody like Stand By Me, and they changed the words. And with that, you need to talk about perspective, because if Ruby's singing to Ivan, that's a different song as opposed to Ivan singing to Ruby. So they voted on who was singing to who, and from that perspective, what are they saying, or the pain that was going on, or the freedom that was desired. And then another girl, she just wrote her own song. And what was presented to Catherine Applegate was the 5th grade class. Miss Barrett's class did a dance, and that's actually on YouTube if you search Home, the one and only Ivan. And they did this dance. I kind of helped with the transitions, but it's like 95% them. And they just really took the story and said, okay, well, how can we give the story back to her through movement, through dance. And if you see on the video at the end, there's this cage, and the cage falls. And that idea was made the day of the performance for Catherine Applegate, but a student, Itzel, came up and said, you know what, I think the cage shouldn't stay there. I think the cage needs to fall. And, you can just see her thinking, because, at the end of the story, Ivan's free, and that symbolizes his freedom. And she said that in 5th grade terms, but just hearing them go through the story, but using the dance for it was just amazing. Catherine was in tears. The teachers were in tears. So with that, Kelly Spector at Camp Read Some More, CAMPREADSMORE. She is just a great person to get ideas about how to bring authors to your school, how to Skype with authors. We did Michael Scott, The Alchemist. We did the author, the Fuddle book with the cat, Fuddles. And just, so if you need any ideas of doing whole school read alouds, we haven't done the global read aloud, which I know you spoke about with Joanne. But that's possibly our next speak. But right now we're working on a top secret thing about bringing a huge author next year, but she likes to keep it a secret, and then we do these clues and stuff, so she's just really creative with that. So follow Camp Read Some More. And then another teacher at my school, teacher Miss H, teacher MS and then H, and that is Julie Herman, and she is also great with just great ideas about implementing iPads within the classroom, and she has great lessons on teachers.com, and just doing some great things there. So those are my top Twitter handles.
All right, that's very good. Those are good shares. I like that. I have to say, all right, so I've been listening to you talk, and here's one of the things that I always think could be difficult for a music teacher as you're going through. Now, you talk about, like, when you taught 3rd grade, it helped you, and then you knew what the kids were learning, at the certain times of year. So how do you try and align so that you have every single grade, pre-K through 5, that you kind of know what the teachers are working on, and do you have that communication down, or are there some teachers who are reluctant to share? I just always wonder how that works, because it can be difficult to work with all the teachers in a school if there might be some people that are like stuck in their ways or whatever, and they're like, they don't have time for that. What do you think are some good pointers? Like, are there some grade levels that you work with better than others, or do you still always try and give it that good college try and keep trying with those people and say, hey, I could really help you do this, and it would help me out?
Yeah, it's not so much the point of I don't want they don't want to work with me. It's the point of they're so
busy for time,
overwhelmed. Yeah. That in fact I had a teacher last week that it's like International Day, and she dropped her kids off, and then told me, she saw the flags up in my classroom, and that prompted the conversation of, they're going to these different countries and learning about the different places before our festival that happened on Friday. And I was just like, why didn't you tell me? I have the green screen up right there. And I was just starting in my learning about green screen. The kids could be, which I actually did do during my class, the kids are in front of the green screen. They have to choose the photo and look at the negative space of where they're going to stand and what are you going to do with the wall of China behind you. And then, we merged the two together, but it could have been so much, grander had I known before. So it's just kind of keeping the conversation going, and they have team meetings, I can sit in theirs, in those, and then sometimes you just ask the kids, so what are you guys going over in history? They'll tell you everything.
That seriously might be the best. Yeah, that's the best tip. Alice and I are right on that.
When you're special, you kind of just gotta do whatever it takes to figure out what's going on. Keep that fun.
That's really interesting, but I think that's great. I have worked with some teachers, some special teachers before that really seemed concerned and were like, okay, what are you doing? And I always took the time to meet with them. I always thought that's almost good. It's almost like you're theming something, or around, or anything you can do. But I always appreciated that. Some music I've taught in a lot of different school districts, so some of them have and some of them haven't. But I think that's really awesome that you try to do that, because I think that really just I think that helps out. So anytime you can keep the learning going, and it's like, oh, okay, here now I could do something that really relates to what's going on in the classroom, but now we can play like the Erie Canal. That's the only thing I ever remember from my elementary school music. We're singing the Erie Canal. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Oh my goodness!
But you remember something, so that's good.
I do remember something. I remember that, and I don't know. I remember a lot of other things. I remember that our math teacher, if we finished early, would let us go and listen to the 45 record. How old I am, Genein, and we would play "Fly Like an Eagle" by the Steve Miller Band, and we thought that was the greatest. So we put on our little old blue headphones and listened to "Fly Like an Eagle," and we'd be like, do, do, do. Not knowing that would be a much better song back when Space Jam came out.
Let me tie a couple things together here. So on Genein's blog, she actually has written a dedication to, it must have been a special music teacher to you, whose name was Stephen Miller.
Wow.
Probably not Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band. sounds like he was an important person in your life.
For me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, 6th grade. He was just crazy. But you remember those crazy ones, though, right? Just very eccentric. And he, like I said, Latino and African American community mostly. But we were doing calligraphy, learning John Denver. If I had a hammer, and just things that I didn't think that I would be privy to. It was just he just told me, taught me in his own way that it was just okay to be me, because I'm a little, when I go into class, especially with the small ones, but even with the big ones, you get kind of like Ron Clark. You know who Ron Clark is?
Sure.
Like getting on tables and really big, excited about this new thing and stuff. So yeah, he was my Ron Clark of my 6th grade, and just really made learning fun, and that's really what I try to take to my kids, because him and Mr. Rayler were my top 2 educators, and a big reason why I am who I am today.
That's cool. All right, so Genein, so we're gonna here. Let's play some music here. Let's see, Mr. Technology music. No, let's talk. We always sit here and we love to be goofy, but we also like to be serious. So I saw in the third thing on the Google Doc, which I appreciate you actually taking the time to address. So when we had Sarah, the teacher, on not that long ago, hey Sarah, hopefully Sarah will listen to this podcast at some point and keeps listening. We had talked about just the absence of minority teachers in the classroom and how we could address that. And then I told my little story about my friend that I thought would be a great teacher, and I still think he would be a great teacher. And just how to, I don't know, to get more minorities as teachers in the classroom. Like we were saying it last night with Krista Moroder, actually. Allison would remember if she was there. But we were talking about how we should have a representative, like the people you see in a school should be representative of the people that are around you. And so we were talking about ladies going up to different, administrative positions and things like that. So what are your thoughts on minorities and the absence of minorities in the classroom and administrative positions in education, and how do we address it?
Yeah, it's like I'm the one who, submitted that, but now it's like, ooh, what? Maybe I should have.
Well, I mean, we could just, you don't have. I mean, nobody's going to solve it, but I mean, just like it's always refreshing just to hear some thoughts from people, and I think people know our thoughts, so we just wonder what your thoughts are.
Well, Melody Hobson has a great TED Talk called "Colorblind versus Color Brave," and just how a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm colorblind, it doesn't matter, as opposed to being color brave. And just knowing that when you're in a group of, a diverse group, like there's so much that can be added, because we all have different backgrounds, and that's why I seek out folks like like Scott and myself. We're different genders, different cultures, and different backgrounds from different areas. So talking about the same thing, we might have a different viewpoint, and able to create this whole new concept. And that's why my edu partner and I work together so well, because we're both contributing. So I'm actually the only African American teacher at my school. We're a predominantly Latino population, but for them to see an African American in my position, I think is important. And we do have other Latinas in that school, but we only have one male teacher there, so there's a whole minority there that should be addressed. I think we need more elementary male educators as well. So it's not just about race, but just about just all the differences that we can just bring together. How I address it is, number one, I just tap into who's in my community. Like my twin sister, she works for a company like Boeing, where they build cameras and send them off into space. So when you see the satellite pictures, she helps build those cameras. But I drag her to my school, and she wears her white lab coat. And I want my young girls to see a woman in this position, and a woman of color. I drag my brother, who's about to graduate in math from Cal Poly Pomona. He's teaching my gifted kids, how to shoot off rockets. They need to see that that scientists come in all different shapes and sizes and colors, and they need to see it at a young age, because STEM needs to be, or STEAM, add in the A for arts. It needs to be introduced, at a young age. So I think that's the first step. And I believe that there's a group that I just found called Latinas in STEM, and I'm actually looking to connect with them. I just found them like last week. One of my coaches, who is actually the director of Aero Rocketdyne, who's an African American male, he noted at one of their conferences. So I'm just keep your ears open, because had I not spoken to him, and had he not come to our school for our college and career week that we put in, I would not know about Latinas in STEM, and hopefully get one of them to come to my school. So the children can see, they can have this vision of someone who looks like them in these higher positions. And you were at Q, so you saw LeVar say that, I saw this person on Star Trek, and what it told me was I saw myself in the future, and the future has a place for me. And I think that's profound, that the kids at a young age, second, third, fourth grade, need to see that they have a place in the future in these different careers, education and science, and the arts as well.
I think it's a good point, and I think that what you're saying about even like Skyping with authors, I mean, the things that will make that more possible, Google Hangouts, Skyping. I mean, you don't have to be right around the person to go ahead and find some great people that will be willing to come in. I'm sure that if you just started to ask around and ask people, I'm sure there'd be tons of people who'd be totally flattered to Skype in with a classroom for a half hour, 45 minutes at a time, or Google Hangout in there. I think that we have the technology now. We should have more opportunities for those things to happen. That's a good first step. I like that. Kurt was going to say something, I think, though. Was he?
No, just the whole topic, and I always like to give credit to some of the people who are in my circles. And Wayne Lewis is a professor at the University of Kentucky, one of the professors who I've worked with as I'm working on a PhD through them. And he wrote a post last September that's called "Teachers That Look Like Him." And Wayne is African American, and it was just a really good post about thinking about his own kids and will they have teachers who with the same ethnicity or the same culture. And we talked about this when Sarah Thomas was on our podcast. I just think it's a great post. So if you, Wayne, you can find his work at blackedublog.com and Wayne D. Lewis on Twitter. So blackedublog.com, and you'll find a post called "Teachers That Look Like Him." It really makes one think, which there isn't enough thinking in the world. So go find it.
That's right. We're too busy thinking about. It's what I led off the show with last time. We're too busy thinking about what Solange said to Jay-Z, and the thing, and in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, although I have to say, have you seen Solange, Janine? Have you ever watched that show Yo Gabba Gabba, that kid show?
I've heard of it.
Okay, and it's really funny, and they always bring in but Solange did a whole song on there, and my daughter sings that song all the time from Yo Gabba Gabba. They have some really good songs on there. They're fun. They'll bring in like little punk ska bands on Yo Gabba Gabba. It's really bizarre. It's a bizarre show, but it's entertaining. It's like they almost know that adults are watching it. So they're kind of like, oh, we'll entertain you a little bit. That's the good stuff. It's the good stuff. But you're right, Kurt. We need to think about more stuff. I mean, we joke more about Solange, but yeah, more thinking would be good. Thinking in moderation, but let's not just be brain dead all the time. So, all right, now I'm looking at the doc, and somebody put in that they really like the Home Depot app, and that intrigues me. Okay, Allison, go ahead.
So I don't know if it's new, but I've been waiting for this forever because Home Depot is so. I always imagine myself just going in and finding what I need, and I can never find anything, and I'm always afraid to ask the people because they don't usually know either. So then I was in the aisle and it said download the app, and so when you're in Home Depot, I downloaded it while I was standing there. Then it lets you use location, picks the store you're in, and then you can search, and it will tell you exactly what aisle that.
Amen.
Is to the T, to the what end of the aisle. And I was searching, I searched wood dowel, and then we went and found them, corrugated plastic sheet, found it. I mean, that would have taken, I would have never found it.
I've lost a year of my life in Home Depot and Lowe's.
Oh my gosh. So, CC, my 5th grader, has to make a Gravity Cruiser this week, and so we knew what we needed, and we were in and out in 10 minutes. It was great. We need this for every store that's bigger than 4 aisles.
Oh my gosh! Did you say you were looking for Woodsy Owl? Oh, a wood dowel. Okay,
wood dowels. Okay. We got 2.
Those
are on the back wall.
It must be Maker Faire time at the end of the year. You can tell that everybody's happy and doing creative stuff because we just finished. Gwen just actually tried to, I was trying to get her to do some Maker Faire stuff and actually create something. So Gwen, being my daughter, said, "I want to create a combination ice cream and cake." So she's baking. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, Daddy wanted to go to Home Depot and get you some stuff to make stuff. Daddy just got a subscription to Make Magazine from IPDX for free. Oh, it's too bad. All right, so that's good. Well, Home Depot app is the recommended app for Allison, and I wish I would have known this before I did all my fixing up of my house to put on the
See, so maybe it is kind of new. I thought maybe I was just new to it. But
no, maybe
that's my recommendation for the day.
All right, so Janine, a couple things before you go. Tell us a little bit about California Ed Chat and what you see as the value in the California Ed Chat and some of the great cast of characters on there. We really like California Ed Chat. Of course, we're talking over it right now, but...
sorry. So, yeah, just doing the Ed Camp, LA really introduced me to that, and just Joanne's featured in the American Teacher book as well, so I had her sign my book, but then everyone had a sticker or something on about it, so that just made me dive in. Of course, you got to get your surfboard because you are diving in because those things can go fast.
Yes, they do.
And just getting different tips about like Hootsuite or having columns up, where one's actually live and the other one you can scroll through slowly. Joanne has a lot of tips about not being overwhelmed, which is great. And you start to see the same teachers pop up, and then you see that teacher at Q, like Craig Yin. I was like, dude, you look familiar, and it's like we were chat friends, so it's just good to just really connect, and they have great themes, and you get to share, sometimes they're like which adult books that you like. So it's not always about the classroom, but how are you growing professionally as an educator, but also, of course, how is your classroom growing as well. So wonderful stuff.
Yeah, and I'm thankful that you mentioned.
That's cool. I know that Craig. Yeah.
I've never met him, but he just his digital presence always seems so positive. He is like he is like Mr. Share-a-lot. So I mean, he certainly is a big fan of Techlandia, and I appreciate that. But he just seems like a fantastic educator.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do an episode of Craiglandia one day soon.
Craiglandia, awesome.
No. Craig. Yeah, we've got Craiglandia. I've already been talking to him with some direct message. I said, "Oh no, we've got a little special treat for Craiglandia coming up pretty soon." So.
But what you don't have, because I sing the song that my husband even walks around and goes, Belly Brothers, Belly Brothers, and they have a theme song. Yeah. Where is the Techlandia theme song?
I don't know. I've talked to Oliver Schninkton about getting him on here too, because I forget what's his name, alter ego, Kurt. Do you know it's like Big Mike or Big Ralph or something? Big Ron. Oh my God, that episode, I watched that one live. It was so funny. And I've talked to Tim and Scott about that, and they were like, we had no idea. They're like, he really listens to the show. He had inside jokes going on, and he's great. And he's, you know what, it's those guys from Wisconsin. They're pretty good. Those Kurt Reithes and those Olivers and those LS_Carls originally from Wisconsin's. Those are pretty good people. And then the Allison Andersons that went to school in Wisconsin. We'll cut her some slack too. All right. A good way to finish for us, Genein, is to talk about your appearance on the Ellen DeGeneres show, except for the fact that it's really the Queen Latifah show. And I'm so glad that you never I know that you were we figured it out right before the show came on, but. You kept going, Ellen show? What are you talking about?
I would love to be on the Ellen show. Ellen,
so I saw your appearance on the Queen Latifah.
I would love to be on the Ellen
show. Ellen, come on. Genein's won a lot of awards. Come on, put her on the show.
Tour, hit all the. You gotta be on Jimmy Fallon.
I know. Actually, I have a good friend. A good friend who I met on a fellowship, on an NEH fellowship. Check those out too. But Cassie Cox was flown from Utah to LA to go on Access Hollywood for Teacher Week. So yeah, it's cool that these places are starting to feature educators and partner with the businesses that are partnering with educators as well. And DonorsShoes.org has great business partners. And that's actually how I kind of got attached to the Queen Latifah show. But the producer ended up not using me for the Donor Shoes thing, but I was fine, And then 4 months later, they called me out the blue, like, yeah, I remember you. I just remember you had a lot of spunk, and we're just looking for 2 music teachers to do a quick game show for the whole Grammy week thing. And me, I'm like, okay. Mind you, I rarely watch the Grammys because we don't have TV here because I feel that sometimes it could just suck your time away. So we just watch our TV on Hulu or Netflix. So I don't really see the Grammys, but we got to go, which was cool.
That's because you won. Won the contest.
Yes, I won because I did my MC Hammer dance.
Oh, I know that was close. So that was really good.
It's still on.
Did you have the right pants on for that?
Kind of, but it's all about the moves,
I'm gonna go watch it. That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to find that video. I was so entertained, and I was sitting there. I think I must have just watched it the next day. Scott.
Cool.
And I was like, wow, that's awesome.
And Queen Latifah is very, very, very nice. Very nice. Offset as well as onset, because sometimes it can change, but she's very sweet.
Well, you know what she is. She's the Queen Latifah in demand. That's what we call her. Right. So, in command. Oh, in command and demand. All right. So anyway, we'll put that one in the Listly list. And Genein, we want to thank you for taking time on a Sunday night to hang with us a little bit.
Thank you, Genein. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Genein.
Yeah, and I just want to say if there's any teachers out there who needs ideas for grants or has any questions or arts integration, my new website will be JeneinLetford.com, so they can check that out in about a month or two. My husband's still building it now, so yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Your husband's a techie guy?
Yeah, graphic designer, arts, web, logos. So if you need that, check out Journey911.com.
You married well there.
No, say it again. Say it again, Genein. You know what? Husbands don't get enough attention in the world, so please. Share his URL again.
Well, okay, folks think I'm like, oh, I do all these videos, da-da-da-da-da-da. He's a big force behind that, so I do have to give a shout out to Shane Letford, and the website is www.journey2911.com. So journey29 and then 11.com. If you need any logos, business cards, because I believe teachers should be professionals and have business cards as well, and network that way. So if you're looking for internet presence, check them out.
That's cool. Very nice. Well, thanks for taking the time, and we'll look forward to it. I'm going to follow your trip to Japan for sure.
Awesome.
So you got me. I'm hooked in, so we'll do that. Allison, are there any last words?
I have none.
Just crickets? Thanks. All right, and we'll catch you on the flip side.